Okay, well, so first I want to say welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time to come today. You know, we all have busy lives. We have families and jobs and all kinds of other things, other communities we're a part of. And it really matters that you chose to be here today. You're doing something with Drupal, and it's not just software. You're part of a community. And it's hard to really get that sense that you're a part of something unless you actually physically show up and meet people and network and connect. And that's what these events are for. They're really quite magical in the way that you can be working with someone online and finally get to meet them and build friendships that last forever. It's something that's very special about our community, which is something I'd like to talk about today, is just explaining how this project works, how Drupal works, and how our community comes together to make it all happen, and what the association's role is in that. And so, as Mike mentioned, I'm Megan Sanicki. I'm the Executive Director at the Drupal Association. And I'll tell you a little bit more about myself, but I thought first, why don't we just, I would like to know who's in the room. Let's see. How do you use Drupal, sir? Yeah, you.
I'm a newbie.
Are you?
Yeah.
How did you get involved? How did you find out about Drupal?
Well, I'm actually an audio engineer for 40 years, but I hope to someday work remotely. That's kind of my plan. So I first started playing with C++ and liked it, and then I kind of fell into PHP.
Okay.
And then that's kind of just intertwined.
Meandered into
HTML,
Drupal?
CSS, and learning little bits and pieces, and just fell into Drupal and kind of like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. And do you have a certain goal for your time here?
Just to learn.
Just to learn.
Just to learn and actually meet others and find out how they're getting their information as well.
Yeah, excellent. Great. And how about you?
I'm Sarah Golden. I'm here from Appia, and I'm also on the board for the Atlanta DrupalCamp.
Oh, great.
So yeah, so I kind of came down to see what the board camp's all about. I've heard great things, and I'm new actually to Drupal myself, so I've kind of jumped in the deep end to learn as much about it as possible. Yeah, and as quickly as possible. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I could probably spend the whole time just getting everyone's story. This is what I do. I love collecting stories and then being on stage to be a storyteller and just kind of like amplify all the amazing ways people get connected through Drupal and how it impacts their life. One of the great parts of my job is to kind of be witness to all these things that Drupal does. And so has anyone here contributed back to the project yet? Great. How have you contributed?
Well, I run a camp first. I run DrupalCon.
Oh, you do?
Wait, what's your name?
Kirsten.
Oh, wait, you're going to help us with the government summit at DrupalCon.
So two of my team actually will be running it because there's only so much one person can do.
Right. Beware of burnout.
Yes. Beware of burnout. But yeah, so we started GovCon back when it was Capital Camp.
Okay. Yeah.
2011.
Excellent. Great. And so the one thing to know about contributing back to the project, so you're going to learn about how to use Drupal. You're probably at different stages of how much you know how to use Drupal and what you're doing with it to build amazing things. But at the end of the day, the only reason it exists is because people have given the time to give back. And there's lots of different ways to give back, and I'll talk about that. But I like to break it down into like your typical nonprofit kind of like language, which is time, talent, and treasure. So you could be sharing your coding talent and contributing to core. But you could also be organizing camps and giving up your time as an event organizer to make this kind of experience happen. And then, of course, there's treasure. We talked about the sponsors earlier, and the way you're getting your food, the way you're getting the lights on today, it costs money. And so someone had to contribute that. So time, talent, and treasure, there's lots of ways that you can give back. And I'd even say just making the time to come today to make this event happen is a great way to contribute back to the project. So first, I just want to say thank you for your time, and I'm just excited to tell you a little bit more. So let me start with myself. So as the executive director, it's having to understand tech, it's having to understand community management, And I have my background, well, mostly in tech. I did sales and business development at all kinds of software companies. Started with a small, like, trucking software with fleet management and with 8 people, and it was a great opportunity to learn. And then I got into the .com and worked with app servers, and the 100% Java application server was what I was selling at the time. And it's moved. I went to work for major enterprises. I worked for Hewlett-Packard and was working with their OpenView division. Gosh, and it's just evolved over the years. And I finally took a break and decided to go into government. And I worked for the state of New Jersey. They asked me to come up with a new business model for their public transportation agency. And what was happening was the state was broke, as states are, and they needed special funding because they were no longer getting tax dollars to support the promotion of public transit. So I worked with them and came up with some ways to get money from commercial entities that were really interested in educating and informing transit riders in a contextual way, in a relevant way. And they were willing to pay money for that. So if it was like a monthly pass, we could get American Express to support that campaign and let people think about American Express as the credit card that they use. You know, just little things like that that really didn't sell out the community, but helped generate income in a new way so that we could actually market, and we increased ridership by 10%. We did it all with commercial funds. So I was really proud of that we could create a new way for state governments to serve their citizens and have the money to do it. But what I really gained from that experience was one that I learned that I loved serving communities. It's really my passion. I don't think I could ever go back to serve a stockholder. I'll probably always be serving citizens and stakeholders for the rest of whatever my career is after this. And during that time, what I learned is that you have to be transparent. You have to take everyone through a journey with you, and you have to be willing to listen. And I think the best example is when I had to do a fare increase. We just got to a point where the only way to make ends meet was to do a fare increase for the state, for buses and trains. And you have to do public hearings as part of it. You have to go out and tell the community what's happening, and you have to listen. And especially in the low-income areas where people are transit dependent, those are hard conversations. They send their kids to school on the city buses. They get to work on the city buses, and now their entire way of getting to anything in their life is going to cost more. And they come out with pitchforks, and you have to sit there, and you have to have grace and vulnerability to listen, because somewhere in all of that noise is a solution. And you have to be open to and be willing to hear that solution. And we've actually would make changes because we were able to find that citizen who had a different perspective than we did in our ivory tower. And so I bring that even to the association, is that I'm here to listen. We're trying to move things forward. And we know that not everything we're going to do is going to make you happy, but perhaps there's a better way forward. So I'm always constantly learning and adjusting as we go, as we work with the community. And being the executive director, I guess I didn't finish my story. So I realized I wanted to get into tech again because I missed it. Like, trains and buses don't change very much, but tech does, like, daily. And I really missed it. It's super heady, but I still wanted to serve citizens. And I realized that the intersection of the two is working at an open source foundation. And it was kind of kismet. Next thing you knew, I started my job search. I found the Drupal Association. They were starting to ramp up staffing. I kind of networked and got to the person who was making the decisions, and they said, could you sell sponsorships for DrupalCon? We need someone who can sell sponsorships. And I'm like, yeah, I think I could do that. I'm gonna take this job, and I'm gonna figure this out. And next thing you know, within like 6 months, we saw that there's just so much more we could be doing for the community and going beyond DrupalCon. And so next thing you know, I'm the executive director 6 years later. And so it was quite a journey, but I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about myself, because serving this community is very personal to me. You're part of something that's obviously global. We have someone here from India today, from Value Bound. Niraj.
Yeah.
Yes, I said it right? Okay, great. I just love meeting people from all over the world. So Valley Bound was at DrupalCon India, and his team came out and helped us stuff 1 million tote bags and helped with registration. Anyhow, we became good friends from that, and he's supporting the association all the way from India, and clearly now from Florida.
We have a few folks from Central and South America as well.
Oh, great. Oh, that's really cool. Well, we have this amazing community. It's global, but it's also really unique in that it has this culture, this very special culture, where people are kind and they want to help each other. They're innovative and smart, and they support diversity. Being inclusive is one of as part of our code of conduct, is making sure everyone gets a seat at the table. And I see our community as a shining spot in a very complex world. And so it's very personal to me. I want to protect this community. And also, Drupal just touches our lives in so many ways that we may not realize it. And that's because Drupal's been adopted by so many organizations at this point. And so, we even have, so many people don't even realize it, like family members don't realize that Drupal has touched their lives. And I have a great example with my sister, actually. So I'll tell you a little bit about my sister. So my sister went to school, and she became an environmental scientist. I went to school, got a degree in business and economics. When we both graduated, she was very much about saving the planet, and I was very much about paying off my college loans. And so she would see me working for that trucking software company, and she said, "You're a corporate pig, and you sold out to the man." And we'd have these conversations, like as you do in your 20s, when you just have different ideological views. And we look back at it, and we just laugh now, because what we've realized is that I'm actually helping her in her world, and she never realized it until she called me up. She's like, "Hey, I'm at the USGS, and we're using Drupal. I just got trained on how to use Drupal." And so, we kind of like pulled the lens back, and we looked at her world. So she went to school at Cornell University, and then she went to San Francisco State University, got a full ride there to get her master's. And then she went to Berkeley to get her PhD. And then from there, she was hired as a scientist, a climate scientist at USGS, where she's been there for several years. And when you work at the USGS, even though it's a federal agency, you still have to find all of your own research money. And so she works with NASA and has gotten millions of dollars in grants from NASA. And then they fly satellites over while she takes a boat and collects water, and they correlate all this data. And all those organizations that I just mentioned, all are on Drupal. And she is still connected to her alumni and all the scientists that she's known through all those universities. She's sharing data with all of the other scientists at USGS because of Drupal. And she's doing the whole grant process and data sharing with NASA through their websites as well. And so I can now laugh at her and be like, who needs who now, right? But what it really means is that I have to do a good job. My sister is doing important work, and it's dependent on Drupal serving her. And so this is personal for me, right? And if I can help my sister, then who else am I helping? We have a community of 1 million people doing amazing things with Drupal. So that's just a little bit about why I love to serve and be a part of the Drupal Association. So let me kind of pull the lens back and tell you a little bit more about the community so I can give context for how the association fits in all of that. Because the association does not do anything alone. It is all about working for and with the community to serve Drupal. So who here works in other open source projects? Not a surprise, not a surprise. Which project do you work with?
Blender.
Okay, what is that?
3D modeling application.
Okay, great. How about you?
Civi CRM on a Drupal base.
Okay, yeah, we use Civi to manage our membership base. Yeah. Do you see a hand up over here? No? No hands? Okay. Well, that's, so there's just a real simple kind of life cycle for open source. You might see it in other projects. This is not unique to Drupal. It's very simplistic on purpose, because actually managing open source can be quite complex. But really there's, the people that are contributing their time to create the software and the documentation is considered the contribution journey. And there's a lot of things that go into that. And then the software gets released with the documentation. And then you have, all the people that decide how they, if they want to adopt it and use it. And in our world, it might be agencies that are deciding to use Drupal for building websites for clients or to have a training practice. So, you have those people that are making those decisions about using Drupal. And then you have end users like Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, all these kinds of companies, or NASA or Berkeley, all the ones my sister's organizations had to decide if they're going to use Drupal or not. And then that's considered the adoption journey, and that's a whole path too that needs feed and care. And then of course, at the top you can see that the adoption journey hopefully has a nice spillover back into the contribution journey, that people from Johnson & Johnson and Berkeley and whatnot understand that they are consuming software, that they're part of something greater, and if they want to keep innovating it, they can contribute back and kind of cross that chasm into the contribution journey. And really the way a open source project thrives is when you have really healthy amounts of people doing good levels of contribution, and you have a lot of adoption, right? A lot of uptake of that software, more people deciding to give back, and the more you get both sides going, you have this healthy, thriving open source project. And I think the big question is who's responsible for that? And the way I see it is it's the community and the Drupal Association working in partnership to make that happen. The community is 16 years old and has been around years before the association ever came to be, and that is why we have camps that are working so seamlessly, so flawlessly, because they've been doing it for almost 10 years. And so let me just kind of tell you what the community is doing. So they're doing the core contributions and the contrib modules. As we have the code contributions, we have people running events all over the world. So I think even today there's a camp in Switzerland on top of a mountain. It's just amazing. They're just everywhere, and that's the community is organizing that, not the association. We also have mentors that are helping new people like yourself learn how to contribute code. So that's why Kathy's here. And gosh, there's just so many roles that the community is taking to make sure that there's like this easy path for contributing and pulling people in and helping them learn how to be part of the project. And then on the adoption side, we also have all these kinds of organizations. They're commercial entities. They're motivated to market Drupal in their marketplace and to get clients. Obviously, they get the reward of that sale, and it funds them. But they do a lot of other things. Like in Germany, there's a bunch of Drupal agencies coming together to market Drupal, and they're doing kind of like a co-opetition type of approach. And so it's not always just about businesses going out and trying to find the clients. It's about these businesses coming together to promote Drupal in a bigger way than they could just by themselves. And so, there's the community doing all of this work all over the globe. And so it's important to point that out, because this is where you can really help, is to find out what kind of time or talent or treasure that you can provide to help the people around you make this happen. And just being here today is a part of that for sure. So where does the Drupal Association fit into making this thriving project? And the answer starts with our mission and really understanding what our focus is. And so our focus is to unite the global community and to help the community build and promote the software. And the association does not touch the code. We don't direct the future of the software, what features should be in it. That is all considered, figured out by the community. And we're here just to support them and give them the tools and the resources that they need to do that work. And there are 3 ways, and Mike mentioned this before, but there's 3 ways in particular that we achieve our mission. The first one is on Drupal.org. So we maintain the home of the project. There's DrupalCon, which is the largest Drupal event that brings people together from many regions. And then there's the different programs that help us support and protect the community. And I love all of our programs, but that last one is the one that's really about the people, the feeding and caring of the people. So that's an area I'm especially passionate about. And who does this work? We have a staff of 15 people, including myself. So that's a small group for a large mission. And they're all just wonderful and hardworking, very mission-focused. They're very motivated by being able to make a difference in all of your lives. That's what gets them out of bed and makes them want to come to work every day. And everything that they do, everything that they achieve can't be done without working with community members by their side. So I'll kind of go into more detail about how we are always working with the community to achieve our mission. And just letting you know some of our approach. So we're looking at the contribution journey too, and we see what the community does, and we see how they're helping on the contribution journey. We see how they're helping on the adoption journey, and we're like, well, what does it mean to unite people together to help them build the software, help them promote the software? And so our approach is, let's look at the contribution journey, and we break it down into people, process, and technology. So in our programs that we have, are we attracting more people? Are we attracting the right skills? Are we leveling up those skills? Are we making sure those people are safe and well taken care of? And we also look at the process that they have to use to contribute. Is that a seamless process, or is there a lot of friction in that process? Where can we help with that? And then we also look at the technology that they have in terms of collaborating and contributing the code or documentation. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then on the adoption journey side, we are not ever going to be an organization, I don't think, that is going to be buying billboards in the airport to promote Drupal, right? Like, I don't really see that in our future. But where we can help is what we call channel marketing, which is we have this great channel of Drupal.org. It has 20 million unique visitors. So how can we start amplifying the success of Drupal there and give all these agencies air coverage? And I'll talk about that. And the same with DrupalCon. How can we make DrupalCon a great magnet to bring more people in to summits like the Gov Summit that we're going to be having? We pull lots of people in from DC, right?
That's the hope, right?
That's
the dream.
It's going to happen. It's happening.
We talk it up enough.
That's awesome. And then the other area that we can focus on is, as we create this demand in the marketplace, they're going to need talent. So how do we connect people to trainers so that they can get their, find out how to level up their skill? How can we provide training and sessions at DrupalCon to give them, take them to the next level so they can do more amazing things with Drupal and get hired? And so those are the different areas that we focus on as we do our work for Drupal.org and DrupalCon. So let me kind of just focus a little bit on Drupal.org for a minute. Who here uses Drupal.org? Quite a bit. Okay. Why do you guys use Drupal.org? Yeah.
I contribute.
You contribute? So you're in the issue queues?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I go on there and look for modules.
Okay. Are you a site builder?
Yeah, front-end developer.
Okay. Front-end developer. Great. And what other reasons do people go on Drupal.org?
To look at documentation.
Yep, for documentation. Anyone going for any other reason?
Community building.
How do you use it for community building?
That's how I found out about the DrupalCamp to begin with. Was I searching in there and going, is there anything going on in my town? Is there anything in Atlanta? And it turned out, yeah, a lot of really cool things are happening.
Look at you, now you're on the board.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens, huh? Yeah, that's great. So Drupal.org is used by 20 million unique visitors a year. That's a lot. It's a big honking website. And so our team, we have an engineering team that is responsible for making sure it's always on, it's highly performant. So we handle all of the infrastructure for the site. We're maintaining the tools that you need from issue queues and the workflows for collaboration, as well as other tools that we've built, such as Composer and Drupal CI. And of course, we have to make sure that all the software can be released and downloaded, and we provide a semantic versioning for that. And then we just updated the documentation like style guide structure. So now it's just easier to find the information you need. Looks a lot better too, I'd say. And there's other things that we're going to be doing, and a lot of it has come from doing user research. So we put a lot of time into user research to understand like where are the pain points. And I actually did a little bit of user research myself. Now I am a business person, not a developer, so it was not the easiest experience for me, but still I thought it was important that I go through it so I can understand what the community's experience is like. And Kathy was there, she witnessed the whole thing. And it went pretty much like that for 4 hours. So who here is going to contribute? Who here is going to go and do you're going to do that? Anyone else going to be contributing maybe for the first time? Going to the sprints? Come on, you have to go to the sprints. Good, thank you. Anyone else going to sprints?
Yeah.
All right. I strongly encourage you to go to sprints. This is you'll understand in a minute why I think you should go. I'll do my pitch later. But I will say, make sure you set up your environment beforehand.
We're not going to torture them like we tortured you.
Yeah, thanks.
We've made it more friendly now.
Good. So they had a user experience too. But, it was a 4-hour experience for me, and I had a lot to learn. I had a lot to set up. But it was great because I had to experience every tool. And even at some points, Angie, who's the project maintainer for Drupal 8, even she was like, wait, what? There's a few puzzling moments in there. But really, like, at the end, I had this amazing emotional experience. Like, I finally was able to, like, submit my patch, and it was like this, I don't know, this sense of joy. I think it's because I felt like I accomplished something. I got to understand what you all are doing as a community, and I don't know, I kind of felt like I was one of you. I do contribute in my own ways, but now I got to contribute in a different kind of way and expand the way that I'm giving back, and it felt really good. And and there was so much learning. I mean, I think the most important thing that I learned is that if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I really mean that. Like, you should see me with my laptop. I'm not a developer. So let that be some encouragement for you if you were thinking of doing it. The second thing is that even if you are advanced, you can't do this alone. It takes a village. And that's why this is a community effort. So it took University of Michigan hosting the camp that I went to, and Michael Hess organizing it. It took Angie being my mentor. It took Peter Willannon to review my code, who failed it, and then I had to go and do it again. And then I gave it to Kathy, who reviewed it, and then she approved it, and then it was pushed to core by Angie. That's a lot of people, and you cannot do it without everyone contributing. And so it's just really important to find your place, because nothing moves forward without a group effort. That's just how Drupal works. But I think the most important lesson that I got out of all of this was that I had a shared experience. I did something with people that was, I was pushing code, but it had meaning. And now I have this relationship with all of those people that I never had before. I mean, Kathy just slept over at my house. I don't think that would have happened if you didn't review my code and we had that moment.
Close through code.
Yeah, we did.
Code, you probably wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah, Peter's never allowed to come visit. Not even dinner. Nope.
It does feel so good, though, when you feel like you accomplished something together with other people.
Yeah. I think everyone was just as happy as I was. It was.
Oh, yeah.
It was a special moment. So I highly encourage you to go to the sprint. It's it's just one of those emotions that's just really hard to convey, but it's worth the time, and if you can invest it, I think you'll be happy too. And then through that, we've also realized there's just some areas that we still need to work on. I think it's always going to be a work in progress, making sure we have a good frictionless process for people to go through. And so we're going to be updating the project application process, and we're working on that right now. We are still evolving the tooling that we have. We're even looking at modernizing our tooling, and you're going to see a blog post soon-ish about should we stay with the tools that we have? What about GitLab? What about GitHub? And just starting a conversation with the community to see if we need to kind of rethink the way we approach tooling. So lots of things happening on that front. And then from an adoption journey, and getting people to get excited about Drupal and want to use it, we've started to use Drupal.org as a tool to help with that and help tell that story. It's a relatively new thing that we started back around DrupalCon Dublin, which was September of last year. We redesigned the site, and the whole idea is, well, first we know that there's technical evaluators coming to the front page. So all those people contributing are going to the issue queues. And so they're on a whole different part of the site, but we do know that on the front page, we're attracting technical evaluators, and we've given them more tools to help them decide if Drupal's right for them. And we want to give them an experience where we quickly inform and inspire them about Drupal, and then connect them to the marketplace where they can find an agency or a trainer who can then just take them to the next step in that adoption journey. And so some of the things that we have is Try Drupal, where they can get connected to Acquia Cloud or Platform or some other tools where they can actually kind of kick the tires a bit and understand at a technical level how to use Drupal. But it's definitely much better than what we had before, which was, oh, just download the tarball and good luck. That's Drupal, right? So we're trying to see how we can educate them in an easier way. We connect people to the jobs in the marketplace, which you can see at the main navigation. Further down this page, I just don't have it all here, is we have case studies, and we're starting to really keep our eye out for really top brand case studies so we can kind of wow people and get them to click on it and start seeing what Drupal can do in the real world and what it might do for them. And we've recently launched industry pages. And so from the front page, you can now go and learn about the power of Drupal in media and publishing, government, and higher ed, and we'll expand beyond this. But we're just starting with 3 just so we can start learning from this. But it really starts to tell the story of how Drupal's winning, and we share the brand names, how their peers are using Drupal. We share top case studies, and we explain that Drupal solutions can be tailored to your needs, and that requires you to use third-party integrations and our modules that are contributed by the community, hosting. You need all of this to come together to solve your unique needs, and that what you need in order to achieve that is an expert. So we connect them to service providers. So we really talk about the robustness of our community and our ecosystem, and how when we all come together, we can build the right solution for you. And so it's just been a couple days, but we've already got a lead that came through to the company, so I was very happy. That's really what we want to do, is just give air coverage and help the business ecosystem. And I'll explain in a moment why that's important to me. Did you have a question? Or are you just stretching? Okay, cool. And so, just like on the contribution side, on the adoption side, I did user research because I wanted to hear directly, we've been serving developers for so long. I didn't really know as an organization how to serve the end users and those people that are trying to learn about Drupal. And so I've been talking with end users all throughout the summer, and I did it again for this project. And there's one thing I wanted to share from my user research. It's, when I ask you, why did you choose Drupal? I would get all kinds of reasons: features and functionality, flexibility, scalability, security, accessibility, right? All these different things depending on whatever industry they're in. But there's one thing that was consistent, and they said, I chose Drupal because of the community, because the people are passionate and they're committed, and I know I'm making a winning bet because of what everyone brings to the table. So just know that you're part of something very, very special. And that is truly why people are choosing Drupal. Is there any questions about Drupal.org? All right, DrupalCon. Who has attended DrupalCon? Lots of people. All right, who is planning to attend DrupalCon Baltimore? Awesome, good. How about you two? No?
Who's happy about being on the East Coast?
Yeah, I am. I'm ready for the East
We're
Coast.
20 minutes away from home.
Yeah. Well, I won't put you on the spot. You can tell me later. But DrupalCon, as well, I'll speak to you two who haven't attended yet. But it's a magical event. It's an opportunity to really come and celebrate Drupal as a community. It pulls people from different regions. In some ways, it's a family reunion where you're seeing old friends. But it's also where you get to go and see that person who solved that problem that you just want to be like, hey, thank you, or hey, can you help me with this? And it's also incredibly diverse. It serves developers and project managers and businesses, and so it's diverse in terms of who it's serving, but also just in terms of the people. And we celebrate diversity, and DrupalCon Baltimore will have our first diversity program where we have a diversity community group. Yay, I know. It's where we're reaching out to underserved communities and even giving them, to let them know about DrupalCon, but even giving scholarships to help them be able to attend and contribute and share their perspective, right? It's the beauty of diversity, is getting everyone's voice heard. And our DrupalCon event has around 18 to 22% female attendees. So for a technical conference, that's actually pretty high. And we're proud of that. We want to keep growing that. But what I do know is, talking with people from Women in Technology Institute, is that if you want women to join your community, they need to have certain things. They need to have a certain percentage, around 20% female attendance. So if they walk into a room that's, like, frankly, just dudes, like, they're going to say, this isn't for me, and they're going to walk out. And so I know that we have already created this environment where we can reach out to more women to join our community, and we've created this warm and welcoming environment where they can see that we don't just have female attendees, we have female speakers. Heck, we've had 2 female executive directors at the association, and I proceed after Holly Ross. And so there's just a big focus on that, and our code of conduct and preserving that at the event, and I'll talk some more about that. So DrupalCon is very, very magical. Just from what does it achieve? On the contribution side, we do a big sprint at the end, kind of like how this camp has a sprint. It's all day long. It's, I think, the largest sprint in the community. You get hundreds of people. We have sprint mentors, so Kathy's there with a whole crew of people that are helping new-timers. They provide a workshop. It's really pretty dynamic and amazing to watch. I've actually participated in a few. And it was also a very, very good experience. We have a whole track called Core Conversations. And so you have a couple days of people getting into rooms talking about, what do we do next for Drupal? Where does it go? And so they're having those kinds of advanced conversations. And then we have something called Birds of a Feather, which are rooms that are dedicated towards whatever topic you want. You get to pick the topic, and anyone can show up who wants to talk about that thing. So if you have a hard topic, maybe it's about multilingual or UX as it relates to Drupal, people will come and have that conversation, and they're really effective. In terms of the adoption journey, I'd say a lot of the event is focused around this. We want to attract new people into the project. Our last DrupalCon had 34% of the attendees were newbies. And so we want to bring them in. We want to provide them training. We want to give sessions that are for beginner, intermediate, advanced, so they can kind of go up that learning curve. And they have 3 days of this kind of knowledge sharing. And then, of course, anyone that's there because they're checking out Drupal, maybe they're going to the sessions to hear case studies, want to hear their peers at the summits and learn from them at like the Gov Summit. But then they can go to the exhibit hall where they can meet with agencies, again, to find out how to get a solution built that's tailored to their needs. And so that's, there's so much more that's happening. We have the hallway track, which is just like, that's just what we call it. It's just like organic, running into each other, learning from people as you're talking. It's an amazing networking event. And then the third area, and how am I doing on time?
I don't know. When does the session end?
3 minutes. Yeah, the next session doesn't start till 11, so you can go a little bit over.
Okay, great. So then the third area is support and protect the community. And this is the part that, is very important to me, is everyone's doing so many amazing things, and you're all taking care of Drupal, but who's taking care of you? And so these are what these programs are for, is making sure that our community can move forward without burnout, without too much, where are the pain points, how can we reduce it, so you can just focus on doing the work that you do. And we have quite a few programs. I've listed a few here, and I'll just talk about some of them. But community elections, I'll touch on, and the contribution credit system, our grants and scholarship program, and I want to talk about the community working group as well. And I'm sure I've even missed things. One thing we have at DrupalCon, Kathy and I were just talking about the other night, which is the Being Human track, where, and I think I saw some topics even at this camp about being human. So it's all about self-care, and it's a track where people talk about imposter syndrome and how they deal with that, or they talk about burnout and how they dealt with that, right? So these are the kinds of things that are really important to us. But let me talk about community elections. So the Drupal Association has a board, and these are our board members. We have, I don't have it totally updated because we have 2 new ones joining, but we have 12 seats. And 10 of them, the board decides, oh, these are the skill sets that we need, and they go out and they recruit and they get them on the board. But we have 2 seats that the community elects and puts on the board, and they have 2-year terms, so they kind of alternate when they roll off. So every year we vote in another community member to be a part of the board. This board sets our direction, and the board wanted to make sure we have the community deciding what community voice should be on the board, helping to set that direction so that they're not operating in a vacuum. And we are now in an election cycle, and last time I checked we had 10 people who self-nominated, and actually as of today you can go and meet the candidates. If you just go on Drupal.org, on any page there's a banner that you click and you'll see go meet the candidates. And that's like a 2-week period, and then you'll be able to vote. You can go and see what we're trying to achieve on the board. You can read their profiles and understand what they're going to bring to the table to help achieve the things that we want to do at the board level. And you get to decide what voice should be represented by the community. So I certainly encourage you to vote. It's March 24th is the day that that we'll be picking the candidate. So stay tuned on that. The other thing that we do is we want people to feel good about their contributions. We want to reward you. And more importantly, we want businesses to be rewarded to have employees give back to the project, right? How can we get more of these employers to let their employees give back time during work time, getting paid instead of volunteer time? How do we motivate clients like Johnson & Johnson, allow agencies and people to contribute back project code? And one way that we're doing that is through the contribution credit system. So that right now, we've actually just expanded it, but in the past it was just for code. And the way it worked was if you submitted maybe a patch or whatever, you can attribute it to yourself. You can attribute it to your employer, so maybe that's like Acquia, or I forget who else is in the room, whoever it might be, and you can attribute it to a client if you're doing this for a client, and so that might be Johnson & Johnson. And then over time, the companies start to amass points of all their employers, and the more points that they earn, the higher up they are in the marketplace. And the higher up you are in the marketplace, the more visibility that you get. And we've been hearing other companies saying oh, I'm starting to get more leads because it used to be alphabetical. Somebody with the company that started with a P said, oh, no one ever found us in the marketplace, but now I'm on the first page and I'm getting business now because of this. And so they're getting reward for making sure that their staff is contributing back. And we've expanded it now, so it's code. It is case studies on Drupal 8 because we really need that, yeah. And it's also supporting the association as a supporting partner and contributing financially to help us serve our mission. So that's what we're focusing on right now. It's interesting. It's going to be dynamic, and we're learning a lot from it. And just talking about learnings, what we did learn was that looking at the last year of data, 69% of contribution is sponsored by a company. So that's really interesting. I know the Linux Foundation's 80%. I don't really know if this is good, bad. You know, sometimes I want to look to nature, call my sister up and say, like, during photosynthesis, how much do leaves have to give back to the roots, right? Like, I just think there's some interesting systems out there to look at. But, you know, that would be a research project for another day. We also have community cultivation grants and DrupalCon sponsorships. So the grants are for people that have an idea of moving Drupal forward in some way, and they just need a little bit of money. And so we have grants that go out to them. And we also have people that are all over the world that would never be able to come to a DrupalCon on their own. But if they came to DrupalCon, learned about it, got all kinds of knowledge and contacts and went back to their community, they could really light it on fire and grow Drupal locally. And so we have a scholarship program that achieves that. And this is where I wish I could just keep going on with storytelling, but you know, we have people all over the world that are taking advantage of this. So we have Sulema, who's in Africa, who's started a community. We brought him to DrupalCon, and now he is starting camps, and he's getting other countries involved and starting up camps in other countries throughout Africa and Western Africa. I get a monthly update from him, and he's trying to change the government. They just had a coup last year, so they will adopt Drupal, and then he's going to train people on Drupal and give them jobs because, you know, like, he just sees a future for people and for his country because of Drupal. You know, there's Red Sky in Shanghai who uses grant money to grow Drupal in Shanghai. Started as a small camp, and he's been using the funds to bring in well-known speakers, and it's been growing over the years, and now it's like this gigantic community that is starting all kinds of Drupal businesses too, and all kinds of neat opportunities. We have Gemma doing the same in the Philippines, and Fernando has been doing the same in Latin America. He's kind of like the father of all camps, actually in South America. He's from Peru, and he just really wants to create local opportunities for everyone and have them use Drupal to access income that they didn't have access to before. It's basically his whole motivation. And Vijay is probably one of my favorite stories. He's from a tiny village in Chennai, India, outside of Chennai, India. And you know, he went to university. He said it was hard because he didn't speak English very well, but he was really proud that he got through, and then he became a web developer, and a client made him use Drupal, and he jokes about how it was like the worst website ever, and he killed 1 million kittens if you know about hacking core. And but he said he got better at it, and then he learned that Capgemini had started to use Drupal, had their first enterprise account at Royal Mail in the UK, and he said he would never have had a chance to work at Capgemini, but because they didn't know a lot of people that knew Drupal, and he did, he could apply, and he got a job at Capgemini, which he was just very proud of. And not only did he get this great job, but they sent him to London, where he lives now with his wife and his newborn child, and has a life that he never imagined he could have because of Drupal. You know, we gave him a scholarship, and he went to DrupalCon Prague, and that's where he learned how to contribute code. And ever since then, he's been so excited about it. He is now one of our top contributors, and he's mentoring others to contribute code too. So he is just a great success story, one that really inspires me. And so I just also want to thank Mike and others who are on this committee, who pick the recipients of the grants. Like I said, we never do anything by ourselves. So Mike and Amber and Thomas are the ones that help us make these stories happen. And then we also have a code of conduct, which I kind of mentioned before, that we use, whether it's on Drupal.org or DrupalCon, we should be using them at camps, that we treat each other well, that we're kind and inclusive. And sometimes there are misunderstandings, sometimes people aren't kind. And when that happens, who do you turn to? Well, you turn to the community working group. And Mike and George and Emma and Adam field these kinds of issues. And they use conflict resolution skills, which are very important soft skills in a developer community. Very hard work. And sometimes, you know, it's really helped us get through some very tricky times. So I'm incredibly thankful for this group and what they do. So I know I'm over time, so I just want to say this is how we achieve our mission. This is the association. But more importantly, this is the community that you're a part of. And everyone at the association is just really, really proud to be able to wake up every day and help take care of you and everything that you're trying to do, because you're all trying to live your Drupal dream, and we just want to see that happen. I was going to talk about funding, but I'm not. It does cost $4.5 billion. So anyhow, this is a bit about the staff, and I just want to say thank you. Thanks for making the time to be here. And normally Mike Anello is on the DrupalCon stage helping us. You can see that he's part of the community working group. He's part of the grant group. He organized this camp. And so I just would really like to take this time to return the favor and thank Mike.
Are you going to organize this camp? That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I just have a little gift.
Congratulations.
Anyhow,
You got 90 minutes. That's all
you should know that Mike has a huge role on many fronts in our community, and he's an unsung hero. So I just would like to take some time just for all of us to thank him.
Go get your
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you.
Can I eat it?
No.
All right, that's cool.
All right, so thank you.
Open it.
It's
Yeah.